Devil fruits in One Piece are pretty simple. You eat the fruit, you get a magical power, and some of these powers are pretty straightforward, like just turning into an animal, while others are so incredibly confusing and complex that they feel like a whole different power system. In fact, even hardcore fans might not even realize that technically there are an incredible 11 different categories of devil fruits out there, each with their own unique rules, special abilities, and power-ups. So let's break down every single type of devil fruit in the story, starting off with some quick basics like, what is a devil fruit? Now, to put it simply, this is a real fruit that you can actually eat, with the only difference being that it has inherited a magical ability. And to get that power, all a character needs to do is take a single bite of that fruit and they will have that new magic ability until the day they die. Which is rather convenient because we're shown over and over and over again that these fruits taste like this guy after he ate the world's smelliest fruit. However, there's also some danger with eating a devil fruit as well, because first, it is really hard to know what power you might be going to get from a particular devil fruit. You might take a bite and get an awesome lightning power, or you might only be able to turn into a cute little dog. Plus, there's only one of each power all throughout the world technically, so sorry, you and your friends can't all be fire fruit users at the same time. The biggest downside though is that of course once you eat a devil fruit, you lose the ability to swim forever. And so if you do happen to fall in the water, well, you're basically doomed to drown unless there is someone around you to save you. Which honestly doesn't sound all that bad until that is you remember that like 90% of the One Piece world is actually covered by water. So yeah, it's a pretty big risk, especially for a pirate who sails on the ocean like our main character Luffy. However, most of these abilities are simply so powerful that eating the fruit is more than worth the risk. Which brings us to our very first main category of devil fruits, which are zone fruits. And these fruits are the easiest to understand because they simply allow the user to transform their bodies from a human form into one specific animal depending on that devil fruit. And while there are even more benefits that we'll discuss in just a moment, on a basic level, the user of these fruits get all the benefits you can imagine when you think about turning into an animal. For example, this guy who ate the giraffe fruit can now turn into a full-on giraffe and can bash people with his extra long neck. Or there's this guy who ate the falcon devil fruit, so naturally he can fly using his massive wings. However, that is only the most basic ability of this fruit type, because in addition to a full animal transformation, the user can also transform into a so-called animal-human hybrid form. Now, as the name suggests, this basically turns you into a combination of human and animal with many of your animal characteristics. For example, this guy who ate the leopard fruit. Here we can see him in his normal human form, then his full animal form, and finally his animal-human hybrid form. And a really skilled zone user can change transformations almost instantly, meaning that you can greatly enhance your fighting abilities by using the best transformation suited to any situation. But if you thought that that was all that there is to these fruits, then just listen to this, because on top of everything I have already mentioned, all zone fruit users get automatic boosts to their natural speed, strength, endurance, and recovery. But what's even crazier though is that if your zone fruit is a meat-eating animal like the leopard guy that we just showed here, then you also get even more boosts in strength and aggression due to that animal's natural bloodthirsty nature. Just by eating the fruit, you basically get a giant power-up in your fighting abilities. And now you might be surprised to learn that there are also two subcategories of zone devil fruits which get even more powerful. But before we discuss those, let's talk about the ultimate power-up for a zone fruit user, because with any devil fruit in One Piece, the user can unlock a special level of the devil fruit which is called an awakening. And while it isn't 100% exactly spelled out how to do this, we have some idea of how it works. Basically, when a person's mind and body catch up with the natural will of a fruit, you can awaken the next level of that devil fruit. That basically means that you both mentally embrace the spirit of the fruit and your body is skilled enough in using the fruit. And to stick with the leopard guy right here, I guess you can say that once he fully embraces the natural will or mindset of a leopard, he was able to awaken his devil fruit after using it for many years. And also, of course, when regular zone fruits awaken their devil fruit, they can get even higher boosts in speed, strength, endurance, and recovery, which makes you an absolute powerhouse capable of fighting against even the top tier fighters in the world. But now, enough about regular zone fruits, let's get to the even stronger forms of the zone category. And the first of of these are so-called ancient zoans, which are still animal devil fruits, but they represent animals or creatures from the distant past. For example, dinosaurs, woolly mammoths, and even a saber-toothed tiger. And just like regular zoans, these ancient zone fruit users can also transform into their hybrid and full animal forms, but what separates these fruits from regular ones is they get an even greater boost to all of their physical abilities. Plus, they straight up get the awesome powers of these ancient creatures, which means they can have super hard scales, massive claws and teeth, or even just extreme size, which can all be super overpowered during any fight. But as strong as these ancient zones are though, they are nothing compared to mythical zones. And honestly, this might actually be the single strongest category of devil fruits in the entire story, because these fruits straight up allow the user to become a mythical creature or legendary being. Maybe the best example here is the Emperor of the Sea, Kaido, whose mythical devil fruit allows him to transform into this awesome dragon. I mean, come on. Who wouldn't want to be a super-sized dragon? And to make things even better, each mythical zone fruit also gets an extra special ability on top of the regular zone physical boosts and transformations. For example, Kaido here can create elemental attacks like his fiery blast breath that can literally destroy mountains, summoning lightning strikes, and even create deadly tornadoes or wind slashes. And while this dragon fruit is already simply overpowered, other examples of mythical zones are the mythical nine-tailed fox, which allows the user to shapeshift, and this mythical phoenix, which lets him use this blue flames here to magically heal himself and others. And mythical zones aren't just restricted to animal-like creatures either, because we have seen, for example, the mythical Buddha, who can shoot out giant shockwaves from his palms. So yeah, truly a very overpowered type of devil fruit, which is why we currently only have 9 of these confirmed in the story. But now, while mythical zones may have the strongest abilities, the next main category of devil fruits has, without any doubt, the strongest base form. That's right, it is time to discuss Logia devil fruits. And for the longest time, we actually thought that these were actually straight up the single most powerful abilities in the story, because Logia fruits turn your entire body into the element or substance of that devil fruit. For example, the lightning Logia fruit turns its user into a lightning human, and the magma fruit turns its user's body into magma. And now you might be thinking, well, yeah, sure, that's cool and all, but is it really that overpowered? Yeah, because with these elemental transformations, Logia users cannot be hurt by regular attacks. That's because any regular attack will literally just pass right through the user. For example, punches go right through this sand Logia fruit user, this explosion just breaks this light fruit user's body in half, but he can quickly reform himself, and even a spear right through the head doesn't even bother the lightning fruit user here at all. And so really the only basic way to actually damage them is by knowing their elemental weakness, like water against sand or rubber against lightning. Or if you can't do that, you can use special anti-devil fruit stones, use Haki, which is a whole other power system we won't get into here, or have an even stronger devil fruit or similar element. But as if that wasn't strong enough, there are even more special abilities of Logia devil fruit users as well, because since their body is transformed into an element, they can freely travel around by completely turning into their substance. For example, the light fruit user can become beams of light to chase down opponents super quickly, or this snow Logia user can become a cloud of snow to sneak up behind her enemies. And while that is all great for defense and movement, Logia users can also produce and shoot out their element to fight with at will. Some great examples of this are this fire Logia user shooting out fireballs, the light Logia user shooting light bullets, and even this guy blasting off giant magma fists to crush and burn his enemies. Then Logia users can straight up make swords of their element, plus some Logia fruits like the swamp Logia or the darkness fruit here also let their users trap people or even objects inside a kind of pocket dimension inside their bodies. Which I mean is just insane that all of this is just the base regular ability of a regular Logia user. So now do you believe me that these are the strongest base form devil fruits? And we haven't haven't even gotten to the Logia's ultimate power, which is of course also awakening. First though, I do have to say that Logia's awakening has never been 100% confirmed in the story yet. However, we can kind of guess that Logia's awakenings turn their entire environment into that person's elemental ability. And the best example of this we've seen in the story is when the Ice and Magma Logia users had a massive clash and left an entire island permanently changed into half frozen mountains and half volcanic wastelands. And so if we're considering all of the categories of devil fruits, this next main category might actually be the weakest. However, it contains what I believe are some of the most powerful individual devil fruits in the entire story. And so it is time to discuss paramecia fruits, which can be broken into 3 main subcategories as well. And so the first of these is body alteration devil fruits, which basically means a devil fruit will change the user's body in some very specific way. And we have seen examples of this all throughout the story, like this guy here who has become a blade human and can transform any part of his body into blades, or this guy here who can transform any part of his body into super hard diamond, then can even block attacks from the world's strongest swordsman. But maybe for an even better and crazier example, we have this woman who can turn any part of her body into any weapon that she can imagine. Swords, guns, massive bazookas, you name it, she can transform into it. And I bet you've never seen that power in any other anime so far. So yeah, basically body alteration paramecias can change your body in a ton of really creative ways. But the next subcategory is even more powerful than this, because next we have environment manipulation paramecias. And as that name suggests, instead of changing the user's body, these fruits give the user the ability to affect the environment around them in some way or form instead. For example, this Marine Admiral can alter gravity to force people to the ground, or to even pull down entire meteors from space. I mean, that's pretty crazy, right? Or another perfect example is Luffy's former rival, who controls magnetism, which means that he can pull or push any metal and create metal body parts or weapons. But that's of course just the start here, because the next subcategory of paramecia fruits lets the users produce and control some sort of substance. Now, this is kind of similar to Logia abilities, but these users can only produce their given substance and control it, not completely turn into that substance. For example, this former warlord here can produce a nearly endless amount of string to slash, shoot bullets, or even control people like puppets. Then there's this little girl who can produce these little kibi dango balls, and when she feeds them to any animal, it will let her command these animals around. And basically, just like zones or Logia fruits, the paramecia devil fruits also have an ultimate awakening. In general, this final power-up allows the users to directly use their powers on the environment. And the easiest way to explain that is to look at some examples like the string fruit user actually turning his entire environment, including buildings and the ground, into string that can then be controlled. Or if you go back to the magnetism user, he can make parts of his environment or even people magnetic to trap them against a wall. But what makes paramecia a little bit more confusing though is that there are also some paramecias that don't exactly fit into any of these categories. So basically we'll have to call this the other category. For example, there is this little girl's paramecia fruit that is just absolutely broken. Listen to this. With a single touch, she can turn anyone into a little toy and then force them into a contract where they have to obey her every command. And on top of that, everybody that person ever knew instantly forgets that they ever existed. Plus, thanks to the fruit, this girl had her age immediately frozen, which basically makes her young forever. So good luck figuring out how to categorize that devil fruit. And then there's also this guy's ability, which can make this magical dome where he can do almost anything that he wants within, slicing off body parts, swapping personalities, and even teleport. Basically, he can do it all. But the most amazing thing is that this fruit has a special ability to grant eternal youth or immortality to one person. However, it does cost the fruit users their life, which again is just such a broken ability that doesn't really fit into any of the other boxes. However, while these types of fruits are really tough to categorize, there is one devil fruit that the author had to officially create a brand new category for. And that was the mochi devil fruit here, which was originally going to be a Logia fruit, but was later then changed to a brand new category called Special Paramecia. Now, as I just explained, normally Paramecia fruits get one of the abilities we have mentioned above: body adaptation, environment manipulation, or producing a substance. But what's special about the mochi fruit is that it has both body adaptation, meaning his body can become mochi, and he can produce mochi, which basically almost makes it like a Logia fruit, except that the user's actual body isn't immune to regular attacks. And even awakening this fruit lets the user transform his entire environment into sticky mochi, so it is literally the perfect trifecta of Paramecia powers. But now maybe the most mysterious thing about all of these devil fruits though is that we aren't entirely sure where they originally came from. I mean, we do know that there's only one of each specific fruit in the world at a time, and we also know that when a devil fruit user dies, their power is then reincarnated into another fruit so that a different person can eat it. But so far, we don't know yet where they come from. They could have originally grown on some kind of devil fruit tree or have been made scientifically in the distant past. In fact, this last explanation might actually be the truth here, because we have seen two types of artificially made devil fruits in the story. The first type is straight up evil, because the artificial smile devil fruits are twisted versions of zone fruits. Basically, a smile fruit will give their user some type of animal power, but it isn't even a regular zone type transformation. Instead, you're kind of permanently stuck with some kind of animal part on your body, kind of like this guy who has a lion head as a stomach, or this bat guy who just always has bat wings. Or my favorite are these two who just, I mean, look so ridiculous. But maybe the worst thing here though is that only 1 out of every 10 smile fruits eaten actually give you an animal power, and the other 9 just leave people who ate them with a horrible curse that they can only laugh for the rest of their lives. So yeah, seriously, these things are completely messed up. However, not all scientific devil fruits are completely flawed like this, because the world's best scientist basically perfectly recreated the mythical dragon fruit, which gave this boy the exact same powers of the legendary dragon, only in a different color. On top of that, this same scientist was actually able to extract devil fruit DNA and recreate the powers in genetically engineered clones. Which does mean that in theory, he could make copies of any devil fruit power in the world, which is honestly a really scary thought. Like, could you imagine how terrifying an entire army of devil fruit users would be? We could have 10 ultra destructive lightning fruit users, or 50 mythical phoenixes flying around, or worst of all, what if there were 100 pocket fruit users to trap everyone in their creepy body pockets? And these are just 3 of some of the most insanely powerful and also wacky devil fruit powers in One Piece. And if you want to learn about literally every single devil fruit ability that does exist in the story, you can check out that video right here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.